Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well and welcome to today's upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you may know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button. Takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click that bell icon. And folks, please leave a comment and share this video. Why? Well, because these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and I do appreciate them. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we? All right, so yesterday's upload, I talked about two different things. One, the Luciferian agenda, and what I believe to be their ultimate agenda, the end of all mankind. The second was the two fatal bear attacks out in Arkansas. Now, I had talked about them just briefly twice, and I kind of wanted to wait to see exactly what the details were on the second account. We all knew the first one, the gentleman, Mr. Vernon, was not attacked by anything other than a black bear. Now, Max Thomas was camping 44 miles away from where Mr. Vernon had been, in a location called Sam Thorne Campgrounds. And there's literally a separation of a river and a couple of acres of land. It's not very far, especially for a dogman, or even a regular animal such as a bear to go through, such as the crow flies. They don't have to use roads. They can make a straight shot to wherever they want to go. They don't have boundaries, and they don't have to follow roads. I wanted to wait because, yeah, a lot of the news pointed at it being something different. Now, what kind of spun me for a loop on a couple of things were the way the news portrayed the victim. Usually, when they are going to portray a victim, they do a deep dive, the media, on that person and kind of villainize them. They didn't do it to Brenda Hamilton because she was a teacher in a very closed section where she was loved. Very beautiful little community. She was loved as a teacher, and the community absolutely adored her. So how do you villainize somebody that already cannot be villainized anyway? But with Tony Aarons, Amber Miller, Tony Aarons, Amber Miller, Christopher Whiteley, and a few others, they really did demonize the victims. And the media is great at that. So they did not do that to Max Thomas, which is not a key marker, a primary marker. But I wanted to see the wording as well. And the wording was off. A lot of the wording. And then the distance of him being dragged. So I'm actually glad that I did wait. One of the main sources of information was the last kind of news released, and when it was all said and done, that was the kind of coffin, or the nail in the coffin. Also, why I'm glad I waited was because a gentleman reached out to me, which I had mentioned yesterday's upload, who is not a park ranger or a forest ranger. He works for the Arkansas Parks and Wildlife. His name is Norm. And with the air quotes, that means no, that's not his name. He reached out to me and said, listen, I am an acquaintance of someone that you had talked to in regards to another bear attack in another national forest. And I talked to them, and they talked about you and how you shared what they told you, and you did not break their anonymity. You did not once share anything that you were not asked to. And that's what I do pride myself on. If someone says, this is what you can share, but I'm going to share the exact details with you, but please don't share certain things. I do what I'm asked, because my word is my word. And if I betray someone's trust, I won't be able to get that trust back, or any other people's trust. So he said, with that being that I had worked with an associate of his before this, he was comfortable with working with me. So this is what Norm wanted to share. But really quick, just to refresh, the wrong bear that they had targeted had been shot, and DNA test sent out. They obviously made the mistake, because with the DNA on Max, they did realize, oh, this is not a bear. They actually knew that about a week after the incident. But then they had to, for the public, for public safety, for the kind of look and perspective of the public's eye, this is what they're seeing. Oh, the government's doing their job. But Arkansas Game and Fish Commission announced Thursday that the black bear that they had shot in Newton County in the wake of a deadly attack on a camper earlier this month was not, in fact, the bear responsible for the camper's death. Max Thomas, 60 years old, of Springfield, Missouri, apparently killed by a bear while camping in Sam Thorne's recreational area in the Ozark National Forest. His body was found October 2nd. October 4th, authorities located and shot a bear that they believed to have killed Thomas. Newton County Sheriff Glenn Wheeler said at the time he is extremely confident. I am extremely confident that it was the same bear based on photographic evidence. Since then, we've been awaiting the recent and results of the DNA testing to confirm the assumption. Guess what? The labs are back and the results are negative. That means the bear that was killed was not the bear that killed Max Thomas. Game and Fish Commission said it has traps and game cameras in the area shortly after the attack. That's not true either. They had traps, or they didn't have traps, but they have cameras all throughout the Ozarks. Every county that has a national forest in their county, a large chunk of money goes to putting trail cams in the woods at these national forests for us. So we know if someone's doing some shady stuff, which would be logging, illegal logging, whatnot. But they also did it because they knew certain things were out in those woods. So right here, we have two very evident markers. Apparently was the killer of Max Thomas. Apparently, we don't know. So a bear apparently did it, but we don't really know. That's pretty much what they're saying, but they do know. And then the extremely confident, because at that point, when you say you are extremely confident of something and you have the pull and the prestige of your job, the public expects you not to one, make things up, two, lie to them. And when you come out of it and say, yeah, well, guess what, guys? It wasn't a bear, and it wasn't the bear that we shot. That really just puts a bad taste in the public's mouth. So here is that information that Norm had shared with me. And it's quite interesting. And once again, there are game cameras in national forests. They are aware. Why would they put a game cam? Like I said, loggers, illegal grow ops and such, but there's a whole different other reason as well to monitor, possibly track cryptids all throughout our country. So, all right. So per Norm, who once again is not his real name, he works for the Parks and Wildlife of Arkansas, not a forest ranger or a park ranger. They do have game cams stationed or fixed in certain locations of the Ozarks and the different wilderness areas throughout the Ozarks. Now, as of September, mid first week of September, they had been aware of a small pack of dogmen in and around the Ozarks, especially in and around where the Sam Thorne campground is, and also the Richland Creek Wilderness System as well. Apparently, what they believe happened was this small pack of dogmen, no more than 5, had come from the Mulberry Mountain area, which Mulberry River is a divider between Franklin County and Newton County. So they believe that this small pack had traveled through that region and apparently had been captured on 2 or 3 of these state and federal owned game cameras. Now, the difference between our game cameras and the state and federal ones, especially the federal ones, is that there is a Wi-Fi device in those. So they actually have real-time feed at that point. They monitor them. They have a division that monitors these game cameras as well. And so this small pack, what they believed to be 2 or 3 juveniles, because one of the apparent males was a little larger than the other 2. There was 2 dogmen that were apparently the same size. A very large male dogman, and a larger male than the other 2, and one that they believed to be a female, but they were not sure of. They had tracked these dogmen through this region, and knew that they were in a location between the Richland Creek Wilderness and the Thunder Cave area, which is just south of Sam Thorne's camp area, where Max Thomas had been. Now, when Max Thomas's family had contacted them in regards to not being seen, and especially after a photograph of a bear had been taken, it was almost instantaneously that they knew what had happened. There was an immediate response. There was no time. They just immediately left the ranger station and went to find Max Thomas's campsite. Usually there is a waiting period. Usually there is a, they would do a wellness check, but there is a time period of waiting. Oh, you talked to him a day ago. Well, why don't you wait maybe 8 to 10 hours and see if you hear from him. If you don't, then call us back, or then notify us, or we will notify you. We will call and ask you, but not an instantaneous response like on the 2nd of October. So when they do, they immediately get to the site, and they are kind of at a loss because there was no tent. He was camping. He was open air camping, and they were not aware of that at first. So at first, what they were looking for, they found a cot with a sleeping bag, which had been broken down, his fire pit, and some other things around his campsite, but no tent. So at that point, they are looking for a tent. They're like, well, where is his tent? Was he in the tent, and did something take him while he was in his tent? That's what but then why is his cot and sleeping bag outside? And then they contacted the family. The family said, no, he open air camps. He does not bring a tent with him. So then as they are patrolling and looking in this area, they immediately find multiple sets of prints all around the area. And they are not the typical canine like wolf or a bear. They knew distinctly what these were. There were large, kind of canine-ish back paw prints, which are elongated. They do almost have what is known as a heel on these paws, so they can remain balanced when they are standing bipedally. But then they started to notice, look at these prints. These are one of the sheriffs in that location sheriff deputy had noticed the very strange hand/paw prints that almost resembled a very large raccoon. That sheriff deputy was immediately ushered out of that area and put on a different task. They, at that point, had to maintain and kind of secure that perimeter from not only the public, but from the sheriff deputies that were on site. Because how are they going to explain, these very strange tracks? As they started to proceed to find more tracks, they found what looked to be scuff marks, and a skirmish had occurred. There was drag marks. There's also a large trail of blood in one of these drag marks. They located him about 180 feet in the woods. He was not on the ground. He was elevated roughly about 3 to 4 feet in the air on a low-hanging branch, almost like they were trying to pull him into the trees. And they believe at that point that they may have, everything pointed to the fact that this, because he was actually not cold. They believe that the attack had occurred no longer than 2 to 3 hours before they came. Before the backup park rangers and everyone else after the original sheriff deputy had shown up. They actually had called and sent him out. They said, listen, we have this call, go and check on him. And then we'll be out if you don't find anything. They had already known. That there was a Dogman out there. So when the sheriff responds, they're out there immediately. And core temp was not where it should have been for a long period of death. They believe that possibly another hiker or something interrupted the attack. It could have been the deputy, but there was no way that this happened overnight this was in almost a fresh attack. So at that point, they then start to kind of clean up the mess. They cover some of these tracks. They leave the drag mark tracks. They start to cover up some of the large prints. The deputy is then back, questions everything, like, where are those tracks? I got to put this in my report. And he is then escorted over to an area where the drag marks had been, and they kind of made it like, yeah, you just saw bear prints while they were dragging Max through the woods. That's what you saw. It was an elongated print because they were literally dragging and walking at the same time. The deputy then writes his report and goes on his way. So now you've got a cleanup team. At that point, they all send the body out for an autopsy and to find the DNA on him so they can locate the bear, a cover-up bear, which the second they realized, oh shit, this bear that's on his camera is on another hiker's camera and is on one of our feeds as well. Perfect scapegoat. Perfect scapegoat is that that bear. And that's exactly what they did. They then put his body in transport and sent it on its way. So at that point, the body is out of the scene and the scene is secured. They then contact the necessary departments, and that being the only department, which would be DHS, which they have a cleanup team, and they came in very quickly to figure out and hunt these 5 dogmen down. They did not know which one it was, and they decided that it's going to be all 5. They also, at that same point, said, Rangers will go with us, and we will locate the bear via the photographic evidence that we have of it. That way we have a whole kind of story to feed the public. They then, on the 4th, go out and locate the small pack of dogmen somewhere between Thunder Cave and just north of the Richland Creek wilderness. There is a bunch of small kind of cave systems all throughout that region. Excuse me. There's an actual creek called Cave Creek, and that's because there's multiple little caves all throughout there. They did not know where these dogmen were going to be. So they went pretty much cave by cave by cave until they did find the right cave. Now, they then, a group of park rangers and DHS cleanup team had located the bear, euthanized the bear, while this other team is out with another smaller division of the park rangers. This is per one of the park rangers that were on the scene at the caves. Once again, Norm is not a park ranger and is not a forest ranger. He's just works for the division of the Arkansas Parks and Wildlife. So, and there's multiple staff throughout there. So it's almost impossible to figure out who it is. Now, during that time, excuse me, about that, the weather change is killing my throat. During the time of the hunt, they'd actually gone cave by cave with dogs. They had brought a couple different kind of hunting dogs in. When they did locate the cave where the dogmen were, there were 3 out of the 5 there. 3 out of the 5. The largest one, which the camera had caught, and they could distinctly tell by its coloration and stuff, that was the largest of the small pack. And the 2 smallest juvenile. So the only 2 that were not on scene was the one that is believed to be as old as the other 2, that is our juveniles, but he for some reason was a little bit bigger, and the one that they believed to be a female. Those 2 were not on scene. The dogs start to go berserk at these caves, at one of these caves openings, and they hear a growl. They start to see, they start to see evidence of these dogmen being in the cave, the growl. They start to see eye shine coming out of the cave. And they were not about to let these dogs off the leash and go into the cave. But they did bring them as close to possible. So in order to draw them out. And as one of the smallest juvenile, one of the two smaller juveniles popped its head out, they immediately pulled the dog back. It had not seen the cleanup team, and it came running after the dog. As it came running out, it was immediately shot and put down right there, right at the entrance of that cave. As soon as that happened, the largest one had come out, and it was quite aggressive. It was a long time before that one had gotten put down, and it actually had caught one of the dogs. Apparently one of the dogs had broken loose and started to run up toward the cave, and it just pulled the dog right into it and mauled it severely. As these cleanup team are shooting at it, it kept ducking back into the cave and running back out at the cleanup team and park rangers. No one was hurt during that little skirmish there. They eventually did get it put down after a large amount of rounds were shot. They immediately, once they realized that one had been put down, they dragged the two away from the cave entrance and started to shine lights into the cave to see where the third one was, which was once again a juvenile. At that point, it was not coming out. They had already witnessed what had just occurred to its two members of its pack. The park ranger who told Norm this was shocked with the tactics they used. They actually used tactics on these creatures that you would use on, let's say, a special operations team, such as the Navy SEALs or whatnot, would use going against a terrorist organization. They immediately, when it kind of came out a little and then sunk right back in, they did not get a direct kind of a look at it. They saw the eyes, heard the growl, and then it ducked back into the cave, deeper into the cave. And it had kept doing that. They weren't going to jeopardize one of the dogs again. One of the cleanup team members had walked right up to the entrance of the cave. This was absolutely shocking to the gentleman that told Norm all of this. Walks right up to the cave entrance and lobs 2 flash bangs into the cave, and then proceeds to run back as fast as he can. The second they go off, they hear this just really loud kind of shriek and growls, almost like a dog is cornered and really pissed off. It comes out in full attack mode, and they immediately put it down within a matter of seconds. At that point, they call in transport to get these 3 out of there. They lug it to an area just south of the Richland Creek, where a helicopter could attach its tow chain or tow line down, pick up a cargo net, fly it above the tree line to a location where the helicopter could actually land and secure the creatures inside of the helicopter, so there were no physical sightings of this. You got to think about, this is a camping area. This is, a kind of vacation area for people that go, when they go to the Ozarks, they camp around this area. So they don't need Joe Public seeing a military helicopter flying low with a cargo net holding 3, whatever the hell they are. That's pretty much what it'd be. Like, what the hell is that? And why is it doing that? Because that's not something that you would normally see anywhere, anyway, unless it's a rescue mission. And even then, that's very odd and rare. So the helicopter then lands, and they put the 3 into a secured area, even though they were put down. Something you don't trust. What happens if one of them isn't put down, and it sometime jumps up during the flight and starts attacking. So then, with the 3 aboard the helicopter, it takes off. Now they are standing. They're standing in the area of the cave entrances, and now they're physically walking up to each cave, and lobbing in one of these flashbangs into each cave on that area, and they did not have any success at that point. Shortly thereafter, it was October 5th, is when they put the 4th one down, and the fifth one is still out, and that would be the second largest male, the one that they believe is closely in age to the 2 smaller ones. They put down the one female out of the bunch, and it was a female. They had put that one down just south of, actually, Richland Creek, almost to where the pickup spot would have been for the helicopters. They put that down, and as of right now, Sam Thorne's is still closed, and they are using under the direction of whatnot. They are using this time to locate and put down a kind of scapegoat, whatever. They do not know to this day where that second largest male is. And at this point, they don't even know if it is even in Arkansas anymore. So now they have the whole area closed down, and they do not have any kind of, they don't have an idea of where the 5th and last one is. They are on high alert right now, because the fact that they believe that it is very aggressive. It's probably out for blood, being that its whole pack has been taken out. And if indeed it is the same age as those 2 other juveniles, then it more than likely is a direct kind of bloodline of these 2. Maybe this was a small family, but they do know that this thing is more than likely out for blood. That's why they have the area closed off right now, and they definitely will not open until they have it taken out and cleaned up. And at this point, Norm does not and had stated that there probably will not be a body of a bear as a scapegoat bear taken and shown to the public and via media, because that's pretty much how they're going to end it. They're not going to do a second hunt for a bear when they have more important things to take care of, which would be this Dogman, which is, yes, it was smaller than the largest male, but larger than the two. And so this park area might be closed off for a while. Who knows? But they're not gonna reopen it until. And if you live in the area and you know the area, chances are you've not heard multiple helicopters overhead, but periodically throughout the day, yes, which is not normal for this area or your area. But you have seen a couple different helicopters flying through, and they will continue until another bear is captured, which he does not believe will, or they put the fifth and final one out of its misery. So with that, Norm, I'd like to thank you for sharing all that information with us. I'd like to thank you all for supporting this channel. It is, after all, your support that helps the channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and our friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.